Donald Trump's immigration policies were characterized by a strong focus on tightening borders and reducing the number of people entering the United States. Here's a breakdown of the key components. Border security, wall construction. One of the signature initiatives was the construction of a physical barrier along the U.S.-Mexico border. The goal was to deter illegal crossings and improve overall national security, increase patrols and surveillance. In addition to the wall, the administration emphasized deploying more Border Patrol agents and advanced technology to monitor the border more effectively. Travel restrictions, targeted bans. The Trump administration imposed travel bans on several predominantly Muslim countries. This policy was framed as a measure to protect national security by limiting the entry of individuals from regions deemed high risk. Controversial and legal challenges. These bans sparked significant debate and legal battles, with critics arguing that they were discriminatory and harmful to international relations. Enforcement measures, stricter immigration enforcement. The administration prioritized a tough stance on immigration law enforcement. This included ramping up deportations and detaining individuals suspected of being in the country illegally. Reduced admissions. There was also a marked decrease in the number of refugees and asylum seekers allowed into the country. The policy aimed to streamline immigration and limit those who might enter under humanitarian protections, citing security concerns and a desire to overhaul the immigration system. Overall, Trump's immigration policies were designed to reduce illegal immigration, enforce existing laws more strictly, and reconfigure the country's approach to national security in relation to immigration. Border security, physical barriers. One of the most publicized initiatives was the construction of a border wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. The Trump administration argued that a physical barrier would deter illegal crossings and drug trafficking, while critics contended it was both ineffective and a symbol of exclusion. Technological enhancements and personnel. In addition to physical barriers, there was a significant investment in advanced surveillance technology, including drones, sensors, and cameras to monitor border activity. The administration also increased the number of Border Patrol agents, aiming to improve the detection and apprehension of individuals attempting to cross illegally. Policy shifts on detention and processing. The policies also involved changes in how illegal border crossings were handled. This included the controversial zero tolerance policy, which resulted in the separation of families at the border, a move that drew widespread national and international criticism. Travel restrictions, travel bans, and executive orders. Early in his presidency, Trump issued a series of executive orders that imposed travel restrictions on citizens from several predominantly Muslim countries. These bans were justified on national security grounds, with the administration citing concerns over terrorism and radicalization. The policies went through several iterations and were the subject of extensive legal challenges and public debates. Security justifications versus perceived discrimination. While the administration maintained that the bans were necessary for national security, opponents argued that they were discriminatory and undermined America's reputation as a welcoming nation for refugees and immigrants. Enforcement measures intensified immigration law enforcement. The Trump administration placed a strong emphasis on enforcing existing immigration laws. This included increased arrests and deportations of undocumented immigrants. The administration also sought to limit the ability of immigrants to access benefits and integrate into society until they had fully complied with legal requirements. Changes in asylum and refugee policies. There was a marked reduction in the number of refugees admitted to the United States. New guidelines made it more difficult for asylum seekers to gain entry, including narrowing the criteria for what constituted a credible claim of persecution. These measures were often justified as necessary to prevent abuse of the asylum system and ensure that only those in dire need were granted protection. Impact on DACA and Temporary Protected Status, TPS. The administration also attempted to curtail programs like Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA, and reassess TPS designations, arguing that these programs undermine the rule of law. While these efforts faced significant opposition and legal challenges, they were part of a broader strategy to tighten overall immigration enforcement. Broader implications. Economic and social debates. Proponents of these policies argued that they were essential for protecting American jobs, reducing crime, and preserving national security. Critics, however, pointed out that these measures could harm the economy by reducing the labor force and strain diplomatic relations with key allies and neighboring countries. Long-term policy shifts. The Trump era marked a departure from previous administrations' approaches to immigration, setting a precedent for prioritizing enforcement over humanitarian considerations. This shift has had lasting impacts on how immigration policies are debated and implemented, influencing subsequent political discourse and policy development. In summary, Trump's immigration policies were a multifaceted effort to enforce stricter controls on who could enter and remain in the United States. The emphasis on border security, coupled with controversial travel bans and tougher enforcement measures, fundamentally reshaped the national conversation on immigration and had significant legal, social, and economic ramifications.